boom, 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 bottom, boom, 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 boom. Let's get it, bro.
Dude, cannot get over that, man. Insanity, bro.
It's it's great. Shout out
Five in a
Alsamba.
row. Five in a
Shout out
row.
everybody who
West.
called me out for realizing that I was the one who said we might lose all the games we just won, Dave. And you were the one who said you called it, bro. I'm
I don't
negative
want to
Nelly over here.
like have a big head here, but I said that I thought we could go 5-0 and really make a statement through this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just I mean, call it a big head, call it whatever you want, but the reality is that this team is special, man. What's up, George? But this team is special.
What's up, buddy?
And
Yep.
I gotta say, two of my best friends, Adam and Brian, I've been friends with them since I've been in high school. They're Oklahoma City Thunder fans as well. And I told them in the beginning of the season, I felt like this is a 50-win season, and one of them, I won't say which one, said that they just felt like this was not yet there, you know? After 13 games now, after 14 games, excuse me, I wrote them a text message that said, does it feel like a 50 game, or does it feel like a 50-win season yet? Because we're the first team to win 10 games in the West. Of course, I'm going to ask them that. You know what they said? Hell yeah, it
Dude,
does.
welcome back,
Hell
George.
yes, it does.
George is back in the States. Sorry to cut you off, Dave. I just read that and it got me all
Dude,
pumped up.
dude, I'm pumped up when George is back in the States, man. Nice knowing you're home and safe, man. Hopefully you get some good time with the family for sure. You deserve it.
Yeah, man. It's good to have you back. Um, so let's just we're not I don't know where we're at right now. I'm looking at this and right now it says we're tied for first, but it also says we're second in the West. So let's talk about this real quick. The T-Wolves are 9-3 and we're
Yeah.
10-4. So they have a
Hmm.
slightly better winning percentage, but we're no games back. So in the games back category, we're tied. The Nuggets are half a game back behind us.
Sure.
This 5-game win streak, Dave, the one that you thought that we could get on. And the Kings are on a 6-game win streak, which I think that one would include the win against us.
Yep.
But we moved from being, in the middle of the pack of the
Seventh.
playoff situation to the top of it. How do you feel about our chances of hanging on?
I think that this is exactly where we're going to be at. I mean, if you look at through 15 games, and if we're at 10-5 in those 15 games, right? Just that's where we're going to end up. Like if we can do this consistently through the season, which I feel like we can, I just do. I feel like this is I mean, look at how we put away the Blazers last night. I mean, Blazers aren't particularly good by any stretch of the imagination. But if you look at who they played and who they've given games to, I kind of feel like that this is not an easy Blazer team. And some people will be like, oh, well, they didn't have this player, that player. I get it. I get it. But this West is full of teams that are scary. I mean, even Memphis, they're not healthy, right? And they're 3-10, right? Utah, 4-9. That's not a Utah thing. Clippers, 4-7. Golden State, 6-8, right? Pelicans 6-7, Phoenix 7-6, Houston 6-5, Lakers 8-6. Right, those are that tier that we talked about. I think Minnesota is playing above their means at this moment. I don't think that they're
Yeah.
going to end up in the season, with 50 wins. I think they'll get close to it, but I don't think they will end up with 50 wins. But if you're looking at the 50-win teams in this West, like this is telling me everything I want to know. Denver, us, Dallas, Sacramento.
What are our chances of, Minnesota dropping and us maintaining or even,
Well,
improving our
Minnesota
record
Minnesota, they won like 8 games in a row, 7 games in a row, right?
before? Yeah,
Then they
before we
lost one and then just won another one. So,
right.
like to me, like that's just it's not something Minnesota's going to be doing a lot of winning 7, 8 games in a row. Like it's just not like they're one Anthony Edwards injury away from being shitty. They're one cat injury away from being shitty. Like Rudy Gobert is one microphone away from being sick. So for me, like this is like just the constant like direction where everything is going. And I like Minnesota. I like the team that they have. But if you're looking at them as saying they're potential contenders in the West, you got to look at Denver and say, are they even close to Denver? And hell no, they're not. And then you start looking at them and Sacramento. Like, who would you rather on that team? Would you rather Minnesota's team or Sacramento's team. I would rather Sacramento's team, hands down. The young team, they've got, great players. They got all-star level players already. Yes, I get it. Cat, Ant, whatever, guys. But then I look at the Oklahoma City Thunder and I look at Minnesota, and I can tell you right now, if you gave any of the GMs that are in the league right now and you said you get to pick one or the other, Cat or Chet, who would you pick? And I'm serious. 95% of the GMs are going to pick Chet. Like, without even thinking. That's where this has gotten, guys. Like, this is the point. Like,
Blake.
this is why I get so excited, because Chet has started separating himself, not only the rookie of the year candidate, but in so many other ways. Like, if he's able to continue doing what he's doing, like, listen, guys, that first quarter last night, bro, Chet was a fucking monster. People couldn't figure out what to do with him. Like, it's like Chet flipped on this switch and he's like, "Oh, that's how you fucking dominate. Yeah, that's easy. I got that." And that was from the game before, because he only played 20 minutes. He put up 16 fucking points, man. It was so
Yeah.
easy. And he had what I would consider one of the best center defenders in the league on him. And he put 16 points in a quarter on him. It's fucking insane. What's up, Blake?
Well, it's tough, man. It's tough because you put Aiton on him, and Aiton's gonna have trouble on the perimeter. But you're also gonna be tempted. Well, we got a big man who can defend, so we shouldn't send the double. So you leave Aiton on an island, and that's not gonna work. So
So you put Jeremy Grant on him? No, that doesn't work either. That's the point. You can't guard Chet with a typical big man. He's going to just stay out on the perimeter, shoot. He's going to go and do his moves where the big man just stands there. Like people are talking about Chet's moves, this and that. And they should be, because Chet is doing amazing things. But I want to talk about a move that pretty much destroyed Steph's career in one move, and that's Shea, bro. That dirty move that Shea did, that pretty much just looked like it tore Steph's Achilles, is crazy, man. Like, I'm telling you guys right now, when you add Shea playing the way he is, and you add Chet into that mix of playing the way Chet's playing right now, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wins. I mean, that's how many they can knock out in a row before people start realizing how to stop them. And then when they start realizing how to stop them, then you throw in J Dub in there, you throw a little bit of Isaiah Joe in there, you throw a little mix of this and that in there. Next thing you know is this team is like unstoppable. You get our bench scoring 70 points like they did last night, even though our starters didn't play in the second half. Like, come on, guys. Like, that's putting away teams without even trying.
yeah, I mean, we were fully prepared for the team to have a trap game against the Blazers. Like, obviously, we don't want that shit, but
Were
just
you
coming out and
nervous
taking
before
care
the
of
game?
business.
Because I was nervous, because last year we found a way to make games where there shouldn't be games.
Yeah.
And this year I feel like the light switch has turned. Is like, games that shouldn't be games aren't games.
Well, it starts on defense, bro. It starts on us just saying, like, we take pride in our defense. We don't care what the scoreboard is, and we played great defense all game. And really, the Blazers weren't going to be able to play with us if we played great defense.
Sure.
If we played shitty defense and our offense was stagnant, they could have made a game out of it. And
Mm,
that's, I think, the improvement from last year. Last year, our defense was there, but also it didn't always travel. It didn't
sure.
always show up on the second of a back to back. And this year, it's like it's a lot less dependent on freshness and legs. And I can point at Kaysen and say, like, defensively, he takes a lot of pride in
Mm,
positioning, and I think the whole team does. I think you go down the list and you're like, yeah, like, there's a lot less gambling going on. There's a
have
lot less out of position play. We're playing more zone. We're playing a way where we're forcing the teams to work the shot clock and then take a long two, and
have
so
you
we can take
noticed
a lot of pride in that.
have you noticed like almost a box in one type of defense? The way that we play, like Kaysen on their best player, then we put Dort on their best player, then we put J Dub on their best player, and then we have the other guys always constantly helping in that mid zone. um, you know, Zone. I call it man to man zone, almost like they're on their man, but they're back and helping. I kind of get this I feeling that the way that we play defense on their best player is exhausting for them. And I think
Yeah.
if you go back to the beginning of last year and throughout the year, is one of the most difficult times we had was when Dort would come out of the game and their
Yeah.
defender or their guy would get on a groove. Their best player would get on a groove. Dort would come back in the game as quickly as possible, but it was too late because their best player is already on in a groove, not missing shots anymore. When we were playing the Cavs, right, man, and I'm watching Case and Wallace play against Donovan Mitchell, right, and we're able to switch back and forth between Dort and Kaysen, back and forth. That's when the light bulb went off. It was like there's no longer this moment where like Klay Thompson could get on a run or Donovan Mitchell can get on a run. It's consistently tough defense, whether it's Kaysen in there,
What's up,
whether it's
Wani?
Dort in there, whether we throw J Dub on there because they're hitting shots and we need to keep our make the space in between less. Like it is so legit on so many levels that I have to stop and just admire because when we were
Jordan.
going through the draft process, Mark, everybody's like big man, big man, big man, big man, and we kept on saying what playmakers, guards, because
Unk.
that's what Sam Presti wants.
We kept saying Unk, Wani,
So-
Jordan. Sorry to keep interrupting you, Dave.
no, but
Shout
you're
out to
right
the
though.
chat showing up in force.
Yes, dude.
J Dub.
Wani.
Let's talk J Dub.
Jordan.
Blake says we need to talk J Dub. J Dub was out against the Blazers. We didn't need him, obviously. But if we're talking about defensive switching, playing against the best players, and really most of the guys that we've had to play that are the best players on the team, with the exception of Sabonis recently, have been guards and small forwards type players, get it off the bounce.
Yep.
So how do we defend that? We put Dort on their best player. We put Kaysen on their best player.
Does it
We put J Dub on their best
when
player.
you have such a good lockdown defender, it doesn't matter the size difference. It just doesn't. Like we watched last year with Dort and LeBron, you know, the year
Yeah,
before Dort and LeBron. The size different doesn't matter if there's lockdown defenders. And
right.
that's what we're noticing. I mean, we could have three guys that are probably, I would say, the best three guard. Put it like this, guys. We've got three guards out there at any given time that out there on the floor, they're the best three guards on defense in the league.
All right. Which ones are they, Dave, by the way?
All right. Dort, Jade, or not Jade, Kaysen,
Yeah.
and Shea.
Okay.
All
Dort,
right.
Kaysen, and Shea. No J Dub out there?
No, listen, that's the thing that's crazy. Okay. Because, right, J Dub, in my opinion, is one of the better defenders on this team. But if you're
Okay. Do you know
looking
who?
at what Shea is doing right now, right, and shutting down the small forwards and shutting down their bigger guard, like he is expected to do so much more on defense than a lot of these other guys that are typical. And you can say, oh, well, Dort's a better defender, but then look at what Shea's been expected to do on defense. And then look at his steal total. And you're just like, wait a second here. Why is he playing small forwards? Why is he playing the bigger guys like that? It's because Coach D has recognized that it's not a mismatch when you have a lockdown defender. And then you have J Dub, who's just as good a defender. And then you want to throw in there Chet, because I can guarantee you people are going to say Chet's one of the best defenders in the league. So when you're talking about defense, there is no better team defense than this team. Individual defenders is great, but when you go down and strip down just the basics and you say, there's a team out there who's just put up 70 points on us at halftime, Coach D switches that, flip that switch, boom. Next thing you know, you have five guys out there that are probably the best 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players on a team as far as defensive league in the league. You could throw Kenny Hustle in there. You could throw, I mean, the thing is, it's crazy, is we have so many unbelievable defenders on this team. It's crazy.
You know who's leading the league in steals?
Shea, right?
Yeah, 2.5 a game.
Yep.
And he might legitimately be our third or fourth or even fifth best defender.
But that's what I'm saying. If he was they were forcing him to play the point guard position on defense or the shooting guard position on defense at all times. I'm telling you, people will be thinking he's the best defender in the league. They're putting him on the small forward, guys. They're putting him on a much bigger body. And because of that, he's not getting all the things that he would be getting out there, all the accolades out there that he should be getting, because he's just playing out of spot on defense. And guess what? He's making it work. It's not phasing him. But like when push comes to shove and you're looking at a defender and you're saying, Shea, go guard the shooting guard. Well, I mean, yes, he does it on this team when there's two shooting guards. He takes the bigger shooting guard. But Shea is being required to play something else on defense. And I've never seen a guard be expected to play small forward consistently every game, every night. I mean, the physicality that it takes is astonishing that he's able to still go out there and put up the stuff he is, knowing that he's playing that physical aspect on the defense.
Tied for first in the West, like we mentioned earlier. Mwani,
Appreciate the thumbs
you're
up.
right,
Whoever
man.
just gave us that. Yeah, hell yeah, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. And let's talk about this though, because the best rebuild of all time. He's on a roll right now, and I want to talk about his points here. Um, so let's talk about when the rebuild really started, because there was a false start on the rebuild, if you will. We ended up making it to the playoffs, a year that a lot
Mm,
of people wanted us to not, and we had Chris
yep.
Paul, Lou Dort, Shea, really an impressive team out there. And we got to game 7. We learned a lot about those young guys. But the year after was when this rebuild really started.
Yeah.
There were, I would say, like, we were getting ready for the teardown, but we didn't get quite there yet at first. We were reshuffling, and then we go into teardown mode. How long has it been? This is what, our 4th season, I think, since
Let's
teardown
just
mode started.
we call the first year of the rebuild. The teardown happened, so the first year is Josh Giddey's first year. Let's just call that the first year. Because if you look at the teardown, that's what happened because we got
I
stuck with the
don't
six.
think it was Josh Giddey's first year.
All right, guys, chat, help us out here, guys, because like when we're looking at
Two
this
years,
this
Jordan Wright,
rebuild, right, guys? I look at the
2000.
rebuild starting, and this is just me personally, right? The rebuild started when we traded Chris Paul, but I want to throw this out here. That right there, in my opinion, we weren't done that year. We were done. Yes, we were going to straight up as bad as we possibly could, but that was the teardown year. That was the
How did
emphasis
we
on the
get
teardown year.
how did we get the 6th pick after making it to the playoffs?
We didn't get the 6 picks for making the playoffs.
We
We
made
we
the playoffs,
traded
right?
we traded Chris Paul,
Right.
right? And then we that next year is the year after that we played shitty and we still got um
We
Giddy.
got the 6th pick.
Yeah,
The next
which
year we
was
got the
we
2nd
we
pick.
should have got like if we're going by rank, we should have got like the third that pick that year.
Right.
We dropped down.
Right. So this is Giddy's 3rd year, right? So there's that 1 year before Giddy showed up
Jordan says 2
where we
years. There we go.
2 years. I mean, and here's the thing. It's kind of like a little bit fuzzy, but there is a definitive time where CP3 was on that team and we were game 7 in the Rockets. And then we've gone through a little bit of a dark age for the Thunder.
Sure.
But we're coming out of it and we're looking at it and we're like, well, where are we now? And that's why I like to
Sure.
start with defense. I think we have the best defensive 5 in the league.
Sure.
I think we have the best defensive small forward in the league if you put Shea there. I think we have the best defensive shooting guard in the league with Lou Dort. I think Casey Wallace has a chance to really gear up to be the best defensive
Hmm.
um, point. Really guard every
But
point guard.
he plays point guard, shooting guard. He plays
Right.
all across the board,
Well,
bro.
here's the thing. You could say that with all of these, but then when
I
you come
know.
into J Dub and you're like, J Dub has a chance to guard 4s,
Yeah.
3s, 2s, 1s, and 5s.
Yep.
You got to put them on somewhere. So is it accidental that as you go through rebuild and you're picking pieces and stuff, you accidentally get two-way players at every position?
Yep.
You think it's accidental? You end up with guys who understand how to pass the ball, dribble, shoot. They're team players first. They understand the value of commitment. Like, no, Presti's gotten to the point where he knows how to find those guys and a bunch of young men who aren't those people. And you look at to the left and to the right of who was picked around our guys consistently, it's guys who aren't going to make it. Like, let's go back to Shea. I know Shea wasn't picked by Presti, but Presti, he went out of his way to get Shea.
Way out
So,
of his way.
so for a little while, that Charlotte Hornets player who just came back. I don't want to mention his name, but people thought he was a better player.
Yeah.
And then he got into a little domestic violence issue. And now he's still on pre-court trials and he's waiting to find out if he's going to go to jail for violating the terms of his parole or probation. Oh, but the NBA is going to reinstate him. Right? And the Hornets are okay with this. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to have this guy like." And that's why I look at it. It's like, this is not normal what Presti's done. He's
Yeah.
found a way to get defensive players, offensive players, high character guys, glue guys, teammates, and they all are willing to play their asses off, not just for each other, but for one of the youngest coaches in the league.
Sure, man.
And when you combine all that, when you just like, look at it and you say, what is this? Yeah, it's the greatest single rebuild in any sports history.
Man,
And then you start wondering, what is the ceiling and how long till we can achieve it? Because there's really no comps for this. So it
our
leads us to sit around and extrapolate in a new way.
our first argument with another podcast in Oklahoma City came to the aspect of this. We said Sam Presti can build a team with the meat of the team being players that 10, 11, 12, someplace around there, right? And as long as he gets a couple for top 5 picks, right? Well, he got one top 5 pick. Got one, Chet. Everybody else has come outside of that top 5. And that's what we go back to is that you don't have to have a top 5 pick to hit gold. You just don't. Like look at Kawhi, look at Giannis. I mean, we could go down the list. It's insane. Shea's right here, guys. If you are just halfway intelligent and you're drafting a team, halfway intelligent and you're drafting a team, you recognize that character matters. You recognize that loyalty matters. You recognize a two-way player matters. You recognize efficiency matters, right? And you have this incredible staff that's around you to help you understand exactly which player you want to go with. And that's where it comes down to. You can say, this is Sam Presti, and Sam Presti would sit here on our podcast if he was, and he would say, it's not just me, guys. It's these 150 people that are behind me that are working every single day to make this stuff happen. It takes one really motherfucking smart guy to say, I don't care what you do, Sam Presti, but if you don't trade up to get Case and Wallace at that number 10 pick, you'll regret it the rest of your life. And that's that one piece that's in the back of Sam's head going da 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 da.
John Calipari.
Yeah.
He's
I'm
talking to
serious,
people.
bro. Like
Yeah.
I can say this in indefinite. Like through the next 8 years of the draft, 8 years of the draft, we're gonna end up with 5 more top 10 picks in the
Hmm.
8 years, the 8 next years. Think about that. 5 top 10 picks. Okay. Tell me with that and the way that Sam Presti's been drafting everybody, tell me that the next time that a superstar or a star wants to get traded out of the Oklahoma City Thunder, that we're not going to be okay. Because I can tell you, if Shea one day wakes up and says, I don't want to be in Oklahoma City anymore, guess what? Sam Presti takes Shea's contract. He trades it for 7 first-round draft picks or 5 first-round draft picks and a young asset. And we're okay because we still have Chet. We still have
Yeah.
Josh. We still have
Yeah.
J-Dub. Like the way that this team is going to operate, they're going to have players that stay on this team until they retire. Most of the players, when they get to the point, though, that they are making mega money and they have to be going someplace else, Sam's going to be way ahead of that. We're going to be so good. And when it's said and done, we have 5 more top 10 draft picks over the next 8 years, guaranteed, because Sam Presti has
Yeah.
made the right decisions in the trades that he has made. Some people are like, why the fuck would he trade Chris Paul for less? Well, we're about to find out. These are the reasons why Sam Presti does what he does. And I think that by betting and gambling on other teams not being good in certain years, it's paid off with J-Dub.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, literally, he looked at
And
the thing as like, that's the one I want. I want
just a
that
bit
year.
ago, he did another version of that, Dave. Right? He traded for the Clippers' future pick by helping get involved, or a pick swap by getting involved in the Harden trade. Like it's crazy. You think that they would learn their lesson?
Brilliant.
Yeah. If
But
I
think
was
about it.
Ballmer, I'd fire every asshole.
2027. No,
What's up, Nicholas?
2029. He got the Denver's pick. Do you seriously think that Denver's going to be a top end team in 2029?
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be very, very expensive to be that level.
And that's my point, is that he understands. He was able to sit there and say the Clippers are going to be good this year, but the next year they're not going to be good. And the following year they'll be good, and the next year they'll probably not be very good. Those are the years that we want our draft picks. And he's able to take this information in and process it, because guess what? When you go to a really fucking smart college and they teach you really fucking smart math,
Yeah.
you can be smarter than everybody else in your field. And Sam
Yeah.
Presti is pretty goddamn smart, bro.
So I've been reading the chat, and it's like, look, it's what they mentioned, and they're right. The season that the rebuild really kicked off was the first game was actually canceled because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
Situation, and then it kicked off in December. So I think that was 2020 was the year.
Okay.
And then right away we're into 2021. But on that team we had George Hill and Al Horford. And then after that team went through their losing, that's when we brought in Josh Giddey.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I'm remembering this, and it just kind of hits me like when we had Al Horford, right? When we got the trade, we're like, hey, we get a good player, right? We get a future pick, which actually doesn't seem very far away anymore. And it seems like it could be valuable, although the Sixers are playing good right now. I'd say overall they're a mess. And on top of that, we got a player that nobody had ever heard of and probably was never going to come to the United States anyway. But he's here.
Mizcic.
He's here.
And then we got that
What
pick last
guy?
year that we traded to Denver from the 76ers. That was like pick 30 or 28 or whatever, right? And we took that one and we traded it for top 7 protected in 2029.
Far out as possible.
Like, what the fuck, guys? Jesus Christ. Like I cannot go back to this enough. Sam Presti understanding that everybody was so greedy about stars at that exact moment that he knew he could cash in on everything. Westbrook, Chris Paul. I mean, the list goes on, guys.
Now, I want to talk a little bit, change the subject real quick, because, I think when people are piling on one of our players, it's a time that we need to stop and just stand up for them. And
Hell yeah.
this Josh Giddey slander has gotten way out of control. I watched a video today. I don't want to mention the person's name because I actually do have respect. But I did drop a comment. If you guys see my comment, all I said was casual fans teaching casual fans how to be casual fans. But the basis of the entire video was that Josh Giddey is going through a season of regression. I vehemently deny that. I hate the word regression. I think there are some examples of that. I think it happens more in football and other sports. I think it can happen in basketball through like lack of you lose your athleticism through injuries, and you can have examples like that. But a guy like Josh Giddey, um, he is not going through a season of regression. Like, he's going through a season of experimentation. You know what I mean? And as you try new things, you're going to fail at different things. And what he brings to this table is just so far above the statistical output. I get there's some frustration that he's not in a lot of these closing lineups, but I have this really high level of confidence that coach intends for Josh to be out there every minute possible late in the season. And there's certain things you have to work through early in the season, especially a coach like Coach Dagnall. A lot of people don't understand Coach Dagnall's philosophy about 82 games. And that 82 game philosophy is a really important thing about him. There's another podcast. I don't want to mention his name, but let's just call him the Ignorant Podcast out there. And after every game, he analyzes coaches' closing lineups and then ridicules him for not playing who he thought they should play. The guy's not a total dumbass. I mean, maybe he is, but he did play college level basketball. So I mean, I think he has some experience, but to like sit there and ridicule a coach because you don't understand his strategy is really just a sign of ignorance. And instead, you should try to understand what he's saying. And ultimately, Josh Giddey, Cason Wallace, Lou Dort, all these guys, like, they're going to go through times where they're playing every minute possible. They're playing closing minutes. And then there's going to be times where coaches like, I'm letting Wiggins run. I'm letting this other guy run off the bench. And these guys will be sitting on the bench during the closing lineups because the other guy is playing well. Coach isn't going to be like, oh, I'm taking Shea out for the closing lineup. So other people are playing well. He's going to let those units ride. But to sit there and say, like, coach has noticed some regression, like, his minutes are down. His points and assists and rebounds are down, but his minutes are down. That's fucking relevant. Like, to sit there and be like his stats are down, but it's like also he's getting a couple less minutes a night and that doesn't matter. That's not right, man. I think we got to sit there. We got to put our arm around our teammate. We got to understand that the loud assholes are coming for him again. The same people who ridiculed the Thunder pick, and we know from hearing Josh talk about it, he heard what those people said.
Sure.
He took it personally. It really bothered him, and they're doing it again. And that's why I know that he doesn't listen to our podcast, or I think I know that. But I just hope that anybody who knows him or is in his circle or is around his family, they just let them know that there is a sliver of a group out there that isn't sitting there saying trade Josh Giddey. And it's you guys in the chat. It's us. We're the true fans. The other people, they can suck a dick.
Man, I want to be like totally respectful to everybody out there that is not a Josh Giddey fan, and I want to make sure that people recognize that. Like, how do I explain this, man? All right, so the other day, dude, I'm laying in my bed, right, and I had some horrible gas, right, and I was trying to piss my wife off by farting and making it shit, smell like shit in the house, and I shit myself, just and I was like, shit. So I stood up and I started walking to the bathroom and I could feel the shit rolling down my back, right? My back leg, bro. And I'm like, why the fuck did I have to be an asshole, right? And it reminds me of these Josh Giddey haters out there, man. Because like you buy into this idea that Josh Giddey's not good enough, and you're like, oh, dude, I want to make this place smell like shit. So I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna fart, and all of a sudden you realize that you just shit yourself. And as you're walking to the bathroom and it's rolling down your back of your leg, you're like, why do I have to be a fucking asshole? I don't give a shit. I'm going to do it again. That's what's happening right now because people in their minds, their warped minds, they say just because Josh Giddey's not finishing the game means that he's regressing. And let me just tell you what's happening. What's happening is that coach is using a certain type of lineup, right? He likes this lineup at the very end of the games. This lineup is a high intensity on defense, make shots very difficult. And it's not that Josh Giddey doesn't understand that because Josh totally gets that. He knows what he's doing. But when Josh is out in the game, guys, in that second quarter, in that third quarter, he is the most useful person out there, right? And that's why he's out there. If coach wanted him to end games and play at the end of games, then that's what he would be doing. But he thinks he's more useful in that second and third quarter than finishing the games. And if you look at all the damage that Josh does in that second and third quarter, it makes sense because coach is like, Josh, I don't want you worrying about the end of the game. Don't worry about that. I want you playing your ass off here. And guess what happens at the end of the game? There's an inbounds play. Who's in there throwing the ball inbounds? Josh, because he goes and subs in. So for anybody that says he's regressing, well, coach wouldn't be doing that if he was regressing. Coach wouldn't be showing, I have faith in you. I want you in there in these situations. And to me, I look at Josh Giddey, and he's the perfect example of a guy that you want on your team that's going to do whatever it takes to be better, get better. He has that Australian spirit, bro. Telling you, he does not give up. He doesn't give a shit about what everybody else is thinking about him or what everybody else is doing because he's going to do his best out there. And if people want to say, well, Josh was feeling not going out there in the fourth quarter and playing at the end of the games, guess what? He doesn't give a shit about that because he's doing everything he can to get to that point where he is in the game at the fourth quarters, at the end of the game. But coach thinks that he's more valuable in that time period that Shai's not in the game. And I gotta believe him. And I gotta sit there and say, I agree, because the offense is way more effective when Josh is in the game, and especially when Shai's not there. Because that Baldwin is never sitting around. I mean, think about it, guys. Shai comes out of the game, and all of a sudden Josh picks up 3 assists. It's not a coincidence. We rely on Shai for so much, for doing so much. When he comes out of the game, you have to have somebody in the game willing to share the ball, willing to do whatever it takes. And that is why we want to keep Shai or Josh until he fucking is shitting out of his ass and he can't even control himself in fucking public.
Dude, I loved it when you said throw the bowel in balance. I think you said ball, but you hesitated and it sounded like bowel. And because of the story you told, I was like, damn, dude. And speaking of bowel movements, okay, um, Brent Woods showed up last night, Dave, and I couldn't handle his verbal diarrhea, so I put him in permanent timeout, Dave.
You timed him out permanently?
Yeah, you can take him off. I was like I don't need that shit. I even put up the rainbow license plate for him so he'd feel comfortable, and that wasn't good enough for him. So I'm like, I don't know what else to do. If he can clean up his act, yeah, go ahead. If you want to clean up your act, Brent Woods, you can email me. It's my first name and my last name with just
Or
an at
just
in
email me,
between.
Brent. My name is David at flatmail.com. Mark's
It's
at
all over the
mark at
place.
flatmail. Well, guys, listen, we want you guys to feel comfortable writing us, but assaulting our players and then getting mad at us when we're like, fuck off, man. This is our place to talk.
But
You're
he's
gonna
up
find yourself in
9
permanent timeout, guys. That's it.
OSU trade Deuce, Naveed. You guys are coming in force, man. Yep, Yonder.
Thank you guys for giving us up all those thumbs up today and the other days. We really fucking appreciate it. It's something that helps our numbers. So fucking love you guys.
Dude, we're here for you. We're here for the next game. You want to be back tomorrow, Dave? You got time?
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, dude. I'm all
Game's
here.
Wednesday. Is that right, guys?
All Wednesday.
All right. We'll see you guys then. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you out.